So hi, everybody. We are here with Miss Tina from New Life Refuge. She's going to talk to us a little bit about the child sex trafficking, pretty much some signs and how to report, and then also about New Life Refuge and what they do and how they're servicing folks in our area. So I'll go ahead and turn it over. Before I do that, just remember, if you're on this call and I'm seeing you on here, I will go ahead and enter this in Optima for you, so you don't have to worry about that. And if you're seeing this after the fact, please note that this is a recording for internal purposes only. It's only for Brush Country CASA staff and volunteers. Please do not share the recording with anybody else. And if you have any questions regarding the topic, please refer them to me and I'll reach out to Tina directly, so that way we can get you the appropriate answers for any questions if you're watching this in the future. And without further ado, Ms. Tina, please go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for having us. My name is Tina Canary. I am the operations manager at New Life Refuge Ministries. We are working to end child sex trafficking. And with partners like you guys in CASA, we really feel like we can move forward on it. Our mission itself is to provide a refuge of home of hope for children, child trafficked children 11 to 17 years old, so they can walk their healing path, get out into the community wherever we can to spread the education on identification and prevention, as well as reporting, and developing the partnerships that makes this fight a little easier on all of us, so that we can truly end child trafficking. So some of you may not know much about trafficking, and some of you may know some, and there are some misconceptions as well. So know that trafficking can look many different ways, and it can happen in every neighborhood. So without further ado. Why? Why do we need education on this? First and foremost, to prevent it. Because as much love and care as we have to give those who have been exploited, we truly would prefer this not to happen to anyone else. Identification is so necessary. There are red flags and just something not quite right things that go on, depending on what type of trafficking it is. So knowing a little and a lot is even better of what the indicators look like, whether it's in the grooming process or in the life itself. Reporting always, when you're in that situation where you kind of think something is not quite right, if it's a 911 call, of course, 911. If not, then there is a toll-free hotline that everyone should have in their phone to report trafficking to the Polaris hotline. And we'll get into that a little bit later as well. So awareness is key. We have to raise the awareness. We have to identify those recruitment tactics because any child can be vulnerable. Any person can be vulnerable. And we want to empower our children to know, hey, that's not quite right. You know, you shouldn't be every place I go, and you shouldn't be trying to find me on every app that I've got. And so just be careful. We want to challenge some harmful stereotypes and social attitudes as well, because what we know for a fact is when one generation tolerates something, the next one will embrace it. And we'll touch on that with the pornography as well. We want kids to be able to have skills, to be able to identify the healthy supports that are available to them if they don't know it. And I always get into the safe adult discussion with kids, and they have to know that there is an adult out there that is not going to come down on them for them making a mistake. They are going to have open communication. They may not like what they've done, but they are certainly not going to come down on them to the point where they're fearful. They're going to help them through that. So I challenge all the kids that I get a chance to talk to know what a safe adult is, and to decide who their safe adult will be, and ask them to be that safe adult. So let's work on that as well as we bridge those relationships. The figures you see here are just astounding to me. I joined the ministry several years ago, and myself, I also thought, you know, that's got to be a sex tourism, other country or at the border and that kind of thing. No, there are Texas kids, and it happens globally to certain scales on here in the United States as well as outside. This particular survey was done by the University of Texas, and they came up and identified that there's roughly 80,000 minors, children, who are victims of sex trafficking at any one time throughout the year. And that to me is a low number because of what we see reported elsewhere. Love to see another study like this to see where we are. That one was from, I believe, 2016. So you can kind of see how does it happen? Why is it such an issue? And let's get into that.
Tina, is it safe to say that this is very conservative, because this is really the people that have been the victims who have been identified?
Correct.
There are probably so many others that haven't even been identified.
Absolutely. And the video that you see at the beginning, the sad fact is there's only about 1% that get identified and make it out. And so, yeah, we all have to come together and create these ripple effects to save more vulnerable kids and adults too. So why is it on the increase? Why does it appear to be on the increase? Straight up, it's profitable. The traffickers realize that they're going to make some money. And along with that, the gangs and the cartels jumped on board because they realize they can sell their one thing of drugs one time, but they can sell a child over and over and over again. The other factor, and the majority of the factor, is that buyers create a high demand for it. And we're speaking sex with minors, with children under the age of 18. The traffickers, which we used to call pimps, have been glamorized. So we don't use the word pimp anymore because there's almost a positive cool connotation that the kids have gleamed from it. So we straight up don't call them that. They are traffickers, they are exploiters, they are predators, they are all of the above. And truly, the traffickers consider their people stock. They consider them a commodity, a usable commodity. Are there folks that are more vulnerable? Absolutely. And you guys know in the CASA world, there's lots of things that goes on, and it doesn't have to be some stranger from online. It could be someone in the family, someone that they know well. So we have to be very conscientious of all the different ways that the trafficking can occur. Children are easy prey. They're malleable. They can be online and be like, I can't get my latest whatever phone. My parents are so terrible. A trafficker is like, that's a come talk to me flag. So we have to be very careful who our kids are talking to online as well. Unfortunately, most schools don't teach on it, don't directly teach on it. They might give the teacher some training, and they might have it in a handbook, but are the kids getting the right information? The amount of information that they need? Our experience says no. We seriously live in an over-sexualized society, which feeds that demand. I have to look like this in order for people to like me. So I'm going to wear this no clothes and this short skirt or this short nothing. And unfortunately, it's society. How true is this? I don't have to train my victim. Society does it for me. He's truly not wrong. And when you start to look around in your world, you will see things like this. We live in South Texas. We're down by the water. We know we've seen those dirty hooker stickers, and it's a fishing gear. But really, guys, the vitamin water, you may not be able to see it in the small screen, but it says XXX. And what does that mean, guys? X-rated. Big sexy hair. You got to have it to be sexy. And that mascara is actually called Better Than Sex mascara. I'm sure there's plenty more out there, and you've seen the billboards and all of that. But we have to know that what is being brought to the kids, it could be the photos, the marketing, music. Truly, desensitization is everywhere. This is how they want our kids to look. They want to sexualize our kids. They want to tell them that's the way it's supposed to be, so that they can more easily manipulate and exploit them. What we'd love to see is more kids in a healthy picture, good friendships, strong role models, all of these things that I know CASA brings. And so we just truly appreciate, and we have CASA workers that help with our kids, and we're just so thankful. So how do traffickers meet those needs? How do they make the children understand or think that they're going to be this or that for them? They really truly know how to fill those physical needs and emotional needs. And once that child is, for lack of a better word, tricked, coercion, force, fraud, all of that, into providing some type of sexting communication, they will absolutely use that leverage against them to get more or to create a meet. And then when that happens, that is usually the time in which they are forced into the life. And that's how it's referred to. Forced prostitution is called the life. 98% of those in sex working legal places want out. This is not something that people like to do or just decide that that's what they're going to do for their career. It's often no choice, or they have been fraud, forced, and coerced into it. So how do these traffickers get a hold of vulnerable kids and others? Well, they become like a boyfriend, or they become like a girlfriend. It could happen to both boys and girls. And that's things like, oh, your family doesn't listen to you. I'm going to listen to you. We're going to make this wonderful life. If you don't like where you're living, we're going to go on this dream vacation and we'll pick out where we want to live. Now, these traffickers are usually talking to 13 and 14-year-old girls, or 9 to 10-year-old boys. That's some staggering facts, guys. Our kids are at risk. They may even use a prior victim. Yes.
Why the difference in the age range between boys and girls, do you think?
Unfortunately, it's usually a maturity thing. And the predators that prey on boys don't want them fully
understood.
Unfortunately. The standard is to take that recruit that you had and that you've used and turn around and make them get other recruits. There was an example of a young lady who was a teenage cheerleader. And in order to afford all the cost of the cheerleading sports, she was then trafficking her underlings, the underclassmen. So a classmate trafficking other classmates, it can look a lot of different ways. It can be anyone, like I said, it can be family members, unfortunately, those you know well, or those you think you know well. One of the things, and I talked about the gang activity and organized crimes and how they sell the child over and over again. When you have a child that feels like the only way out they can do is run away, they are at the highest risk outside of familial trafficking to be approached by a trafficker. Someone on the street is going to be approached by a trafficker within 48 hours, or pedophile or predator. Hey, I'll give you a place to stay and I'll give you some food, but you have to. And you have to know the difference, because over the age of 18, you have to prove that they were forced, fraud, or coerced into this. Under the age of 18, it can be anything of value. It can be a Happy Meal. That's trafficking. It could be a night stay over in somebody's house or in a hotel for sexual exchange. That's trafficking. Doesn't have to be just money in the prostitution way. Where does it happen? Goodness, it does face to face. COVID, we saw actual spikes in the amount of exploitation coming from online predominantly, but that expands out into the in-person, because as soon as you have that exploitive material from that child, you're going to want to meet and pursue the rest of that endeavor. So you have to know that the kids are at high school. If they're walking home from school or driving home, there's traffickers that will watch them and know where they live so that they can use that information later. Anywhere you kids that check in, hey, I'm at Starbucks, let me check in. I'm at my school, let me check in. I'm sitting at my house, let me check in. You have now just told the entire world where you are, where you live, and where to come get you. And understand that, the movies like the Taken movie where, they are sought after and truly taken, abducted. It does happen, but that is not the standard way. The three top ones are the familial trafficking, the drug and cartel trafficking, as well as the traffickers online or in person. So just so that you know, it happens to any kind of kid, all kinds of kids everywhere. This next slide is actually a video of a young girl, we'll call her Esme. And she was at a basketball game. She's in middle school. She was in middle school at the time. And she did all sorts of good stuff. She did what wanted her parents, parents said this. She wanted a tattoo. And her parents, rightly so, said, no, you're in middle school. No tattoo. Well, she was complaining to her friends in the bleachers, and there were these two fellas that nobody thought anything of because they were always there. Well, they were listening. She went to the concession stand, and one of them followed her and said, oh, hey, I'm sorry, I overheard. I'm a tattoo artist and my shop's right around the corner. And so, you want to get a tattoo? Well, we can put one behind your hair that your parents won't ever know. And you can show your friends all day long. And if we go now, we'll be back before the game's over. She got in the car.
I'm not hearing your sound, Tina. I think what happens is you need to stop share and share again. And on the bottom of the screen, there's a little box that says share audio.
Gotcha. All right, hold tight.
Okay, then share again.
Okay.
And in the bottom, there's a little box, the check box that says like share audio, computer's audio.
Okay.
Click that, and then it should work now.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes.
Little technical assistance appreciated. There we go. Let's see. And go. Oh, nope, nope, go back. Thank you for your patience, guys. All right, we'll try it again.
I was 13 years old and in 7th grade when everything changed.
My daughter was 13 when she got in the car with a stranger. After that day, we didn't see her for 9 days, and we didn't know where she was. We thought she might be dead. The police were looking for her. They were at the point where they were going to bring dogs and search the field close to our house. My daughter went to extracurricular activities 5 days a week, 2.5 hours a day. She was in honors program at school.
It's very easy for a child to be tricked by someone. Most of these guys have done this before, and they know what to say and how to say it and how to play games in your head and play with your heart.
She was sexually assaulted so many times she didn't know how many times, and drugged with NyQuil. They just kept making her drink NyQuil, and then she was sold, and she was sold over and over and over. On the 10th day, it was 4:30 in the morning, and my daughter knocked on the door.
As a teenager, you're thinking, well, I'm smart, Well, look at me. Hey, I do all this good stuff, so this one bad thing won't hurt me.
Just because she was home and she was safe, it didn't end. It didn't end.
I do have nightmares and I sleepwalk. It's kind of disturbing. So those flashbacks come and it's scary.
I really didn't know about human trafficking and everything that could come from it.
So guys, it does. It happens to our kids all over the place, and we just truly have to open those conversations with them. Sometimes it's not a fun conversation because they don't want to share their private stuff with who they're talking to and whatnot. And we have to remind them that if an adult or anyone else says, hey, this will be just a secret between you and me, that is the first red flag you come talk about with your safe adult. Just to let me just tell you, anywhere these kids are online is where the traffickers are going to be. And I've added a few, I think Moco is still around, that there are just so many ways for these predators and traffickers to reach the kids. I always ask the parents that have, kids that they're giving smartphones to, do you know which apps they're on? Do you know who their contacts are? And do you have it situated so that all of the charging stations are in the kitchen or living room or someplace other than their bedroom at night? And make it a cutoff. Okay, 9 o'clock, phones go on the charger. Because at night, what are they going to do? They're going to get bored. They're going to get, they're going to reach out. They're going to post that. I also included the dating sites, the Plenty of Fish and Seeking Arrangement, that they are full of predators and traffickers. So even those adults who are earnestly looking for partners could fall prey. You have to be very, very careful, very, very conscientious about who you talk to in your world. And I always tell the parents, please make sure you have parental controls on your kids' phone, if they're even old enough truly to handle a smartphone. It's a full computer, guys. Oh, sorry, y'all. I'm going too fast. All right. So just know the next video I'm showing you is an example on how it happens online.
For the first time in years, Bianca Mendoza says things are looking up. She escaped from a man in early February who she says pimped her out for years. Police arrested him days later. His name is Ariel Guizar, but he's known on social media as Shy Boy.
Do you call him Shy Boy or do you
I call him
Ariel?
Shy.
You call him Shy?
Yeah, that's what everybody like really calls him. Like they know him by Shy.
The teen tells us she met Guizar on Instagram when she was just 15 years old.
I came across his tattooing page on Instagram and saw he had a lot of followers and I liked his tattoos, so I would like his pictures, and then he started liking mine and he would comment on my pictures and we exchanged numbers.
Unhappy at home and after years of being in and out of the court system, she ran away, agreeing to meet up with the then 33-year-old man, thinking they would have a relationship. I asked her when it all changed.
He would have sex with other girls like in front of me and stuff like that. So I was just like, okay, like it's not like how I thought, but I don't know. And then that's when he had his friends go to the hotel room and like have them like basically do whatever they wanted with me. And when I told him about it, he didn't care.
It was that same day in a motel in San Jose when she says she first started prostituting for him.
The first time I worked for him, I only had probably like about like 5 to like 8 guys a day.
We found posts on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. Bianca tells us he posted a video of her with a client. She tried to leave, and he forced her to stay.
So I told me that if I had anybody try to pick me up, that he would kill them before they took off with me. When I started working for him again, it was up to like more than 20 guys a day, because he would tell us, you guys have to make $1,000 and then you guys could go to sleep.
On February 7th, after 2 years of working for Guizar, Bianca says she and another girl escaped a motel room in Anaheim after, she says, he threatened to kill them both. 4 days later, she turned on the TV to see he was behind bars.
I was crying, not because like, oh my God, I'm so sad he's locked up, but because I'm relieved. I feel like, okay, he's locked up. I could go back to living my life. I don't have to worry about him keep contacting me, threatening me, telling me he's gonna post stuff about me if I don't work. Like, I feel relieved, I feel free.
When asked why she agreed to do this interview, Bianca says she's worried for other girls like her.
Because if a guy loved you, he wouldn't have you having sex with other guys for money. He would be the one that wants to be your only one.
So true, guys. And when I'm presenting to the kids, I alter it a little bit differently. But you know, what I ask them is, what do you think she was looking for online? Love, affirmation, you know, interaction, all of that. And then I ask them what was the bait that was used, and I let them tell me. So they have to know, they have to be able to identify that. And they have to know that somebody at the other end of that computer screen is not necessarily who they say they are. They do understand the word catfish. Like if I say, hey, it could be a catfish account, they're like, oh, really? Ah, see, now you're thinking. And you got to talk in their terms, guys. You just do. So just know there's so many kids out there that are susceptible to this. And so many of them have smartphones. This is something that the kids really, really need to understand. Sexting is not just a fun activity, far from it. If someone is under the age of 18 and they have a picture, excuse me, if there's a picture of someone under the age of 18 that they know, it could be their boyfriend, their girlfriend, however, on their phone, it's still a felony because they know that person is under 18. You get some serious digs in this, guys, for real. But it's either knowingly or intentionally possessing. So anytime there is sexting going on, they need to go, somebody just sent me this, I don't want it, I'll take it to my safe adult and they can report it. The other thing that I express to the kids is you guys are so young. This is not something you want documented in your forever file. And as soon as you send that one picture, it doesn't stay with that boyfriend or that girlfriend necessarily. It goes on to others, to websites, and you need to know, you don't want that to happen, don't send the sext, period. There has absolutely been stories of children being forced into the forced prostitution or trafficking by sexting messages, no doubt. When we talk about children and pornography, it's no, you can't have a child prostitute because they're not old enough to consent. You can't have child pornography because that, says that there is some kind of consent to being part of that. All of that, any kind of video, photograph, any of that is considered child sexual exploitive material. So you'll hear CSEM, CSEM, as well as an acronym. I know y'all got tons of acronyms too, but if you happen to hear that, that's what they're talking about. We've seen such a rise in the distribution of CSEM. And I will tell you that Pornhub actually published an article, gosh, it was 2020, and they were giving themselves props because the 5 years prior to, there was only 25% of their market on mobile devices. And as of that 5-year mark, they had moved to 75% on mobile devices. So you tell me, who's got pornography on their phone? Don't really tell me, but so the kids need to know that's not okay. I had a wonderful experience with a set of high schoolers, and I'm going to get into it sooner, but he goes, I don't understand. Why is it an issue if the pornography is free? Why is it an issue? Because that person is still there. So I had to explain to them in YouTube, there are likes and shares, and that's how the YouTubers get advertisers, and that's how the YouTubers get paid. Well, in pornography, the actor or the actress is not the one getting paid. It's their manager. Follow the money. So we know this is the actual legal part of it under the law. So just know there's laws against having sexting pictures on your phone. Tell the kids that, just point blank. One of the things that's truly unfortunate is the fact that pornography fuels sex trafficking. You might not think about that, but it's true, because what happens is that victim is shown pornography to know what to expect from the buyers. So you're showing a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, however, this is what you can expect from those men or women that are coming to rape you. And I'm sorry to put it that way, it is paid rape. Not only that, but the films and the videos and the photographs that are made of the victims while they're in there. Pornography is absolutely normalizing sexual violence. You look at all of the things and the trends that the kids are going to, and no, they need to be kept from this. And we as adults need to step away from it because it is just as addicting as heroin. And if you would like an entire video on that, we can help you with that too. Because pornography, we need to have a no shame, no blame conversation. First of all, because shame will keep people from getting help. And there are many, many people who are addicted to pornography or feel like they have to use it in order to perform with their significant other. It's not the case. And we need that education out there as well. So here's another bit.
This is Anna. Wait, don't click to someone else yet, because Anna's stuck here on your computer screen. And while you can walk away, her image is stuck on the internet. See, your fantasy is Anna's nightmare. There's a good chance recruiters lured her with flattery. Perhaps they baited her with cash. Maybe they even tranquilized her with date rape drugs. And if Anna's like many others, she stays sedated with alcohol, weed, or coke to numb the pain. Chances are she faces STDs and HIV because she's denied access to protection. We don't know what she's been through because we only see Anna smiling. And they keep showing Anna smiling so that you'll keep watching. See, pornography is integral to human trafficking and prostitution. In 9 countries, almost half, 49%, said that pornography was made of them while they were in prostitution. This generation fights sex trafficking more than anyone ever has, and more than anyone ever has, this generation consumes porn. Fighting human trafficking and then watching porn is like protesting a corrupt politician and then donating to his campaign. You browse privately going from Anna to Zoe and back to Anna. Watch your favorite fantasy and then walk away. But Anna's still there. She's stuck there, stuck in this life because you click. Each click, each link, each URL visit and play button, this is the currency of porn. This is the price of Anna's life. The $100 billion pornography industry is fueling the appetite for children as well. Teenage girls now make up the biggest slice of viewable porn, which by definition is considered trafficking. The demand for porn fuels the trafficking industry, and you can take away that demand. You can cut the cord on this machine. You can bankrupt the system. You can empty the pimp's pockets. You can free Anna by simply refusing to click.
Really want this to soak in, guys. The traffickers can be family, they can be gang related, and they can be the individual predator. So all of these things that we're learning, there are more signs that we can help you learn as well. I do have a even more in-depth one that I can share with those who work with the kids that was developed for another youth organization. This particular run through is an overview. There's a lot more to come, and I'm going to be respectful of your time and kind of go on through, but there are other trainings that we can facilitate should you guys be interested. So just let me know. So knowing the signs, the tattoos, they're big on that. They might put their property with their name on it. They could put the crown, the king crown is another regular one. The barcode, does that not say their stock and not people? That's kind of a regular one, or the dollar sign. So we have to be very careful and pay attention to those, because there could be kids being trafficked right there in your neighborhood, going to school every day. Or not. Signs of physical abuse, the unusual tattoos. If y'all have done any training on disassociation, it's very prevalent in those who have experienced trauma. And so, it could be the child is not paying attention to you on purpose. You know what I mean? Like they could just have literally disassociated over a topic, and you're talking and they are out there. And so that's one of those things that we have to learn to read that body language and then kind of get them back in, because they will not be present with you. They will be experiencing or re-experiencing some of the traumas that they've endeavored. So know what disassociation is and know how to. I'm sure you guys do more trainings on that. We could do some more too. As always, I love this quote from Edmund Burke, but the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And so by CASA stepping up and being volunteers and advocates for these kids, that's just an amazing way to help them and through all of that. And the information that you learn is so priceless, because not only can it benefit the kiddos that you're working with, it can benefit everyone in your life. So if you've got young teens that want to get out and do the dating thing or whatever it is, or younger kids on apps, they need this info too. So we at New Life Refuge are not in the law enforcement side of things where we break down doors and rescue kids as much as we'd love to. We do leave that to the law enforcement partners, but we have quite a few folks that come to us from, could be CPS, could be foster care, could have been DFPS, could be detention center. They could have been arrested for something else, but that was part of the outcry, and they turned from, criminal to victim, and then you get the status from there. So we are truly a place where restoration begins. And there you got just a quick peek. Sorry, let me go past. a quick peek at our first refuge home and the first transitional living cabin right next to it on the property. So what is amazing and the things that are coming, I'm going to get into, but really and truly, we want new beginnings. We want a new life for these kiddos. And they can come to us with some stories that, and I'm sure you guys have heard some as well, that will break your heart over and over again. What is amazing, and I mean truly in a God way amazing, is to see these kiddos come in wild, broken, angry, all of these things and above, and to then see their transition, their softening, their understanding that not everyone is going to do them harm, that we actually have care in the world and unconditional love. Many of us never even know what unconditional love is through our adulthood. And so I'm a big proponent for unconditional love. As I would tell my son, I love you very much. Don't particularly like what you just did. So the program itself, we're actually here based in Corpus Christi, the administrative office, but our program is at an undisclosed location about an hour outside of Corpus. It's 40 plus acres, and what you see there on the screen is actually some of the girls who were with us before. Can't show their faces, of course, but and that's the little pond that's sitting out front of the house, first house we have, and our volunteers. So we have the program itself, because of the type of trauma that is incurred with these kiddos and the ratios that are required, adult to child, for these traumatized victims. It's 1 adult per 4 children. And so the program that we have to grow by houses, because we can keep 4 kids in, and we have 1 house that can do 6. We kind of changed our plan a little bit and are using one of the other rooms. Anyway, the next house that we have coming on board, I'll actually hold tight before I get ahead of myself there. We have served about 20 children since we opened end of 2017. And we've just referred out just a ton of other people, whether they were in our age group or not. They maybe not quite fit the program, because we cannot take children who are pregnant. We cannot take children who are currently undergoing the detox process. They can come after. And we truly give them that opportunity to really see what we're about before they come. We're not an emergency placement. We are a long-term healing residential treatment center. That's our licensed. And so, as I said, as we get bigger, we'll have, another 4 and another 4 and another 4. So we will have a very large campus, probably 50 kids or so at a time, once we're finished. And so we give them each individual plans. We work with their CASA folks, we work with their caseworkers, and they see counselors, they see individuals and group counseling. We do an awesome program that we call TEAL. That is actually the Trauma-Informed Equine Assisted Learning program. And yes, there are kids riding right there, but that's for fun and for benefit. They get as a reward. The program that we use is on the ground. It's called a flat. And the children, like on the picture on the left, learn to work with that child or with that horse, who is, horses, if you've been around horses at all, they're a flight animal. They're not going to stick around and fight. They're boom, I'm out of here. Well, the kids will come to them and they'll be full of angst, or they'll be, not quite right. And the horse goes, not today. You get yourself straight and then we can talk. And to watch that bond grow, and you watch the children understand that how they feel affects other people, or is a good indicator of a concern as well. The whole goal for that is, and it helps tremendously with the PTSD folks, which all of them have. They then can take that learned information and translate it into human to human relationships. So if a red flag comes up, or if they feel at angst, they go, wait, let me take a step back. Let me do some breaths. Let me, use all the tools that I have been given. And then if I still have a red flag, I know to go to somebody else. So tools. So I will tell you.
My name is Becca, and I'm an overcomer of minor sex trafficking in Texas. For more than 10 years, I was manipulated, abused, and sold daily. When I finally had the chance to escape, there was nowhere for me to go. That's because in America, there are very few homes that deal with this type of trauma. New Life Refuge Ministries home is essential for victims to have a place to process through their trauma and find their true value as a human being instead of just a commodity to be bought and sold.
We are thankful for Rebecca and other survivors who have been so vocal. I don't have it in this particular program, but we did have 2 of our 18-year-olds that have gone through our transitional living. They wanted to tell their story, not the story of how they got to New Life necessarily, but their story with their new beginning through New Life. And so I know that we have that. It is on the YouTube page. It should be loaded on the website too pretty shortly. But let me introduce you to our what we're doing next. So you saw the picture of the 2-story home. That's our first home. So that's our home of hope, our Brazelton home of hope, because they helped tremendously get that where it needed to be. The next home, we've been working with the modular folks to create a plan that literally works for our program. We got staff involved in it. And forgive me, we're going to have some lawn maintenance outside. Hold on. Oh boy. Okay, hopefully they'll move on pretty shortly. But nonetheless, we were ready to move forward with this second home. We started working towards it a little over a year, a little bit more than a year ago. And we were tremendously encouraged because we put in for a grant through Valero. And Valero not only came through with a portion, they came through with enough to move forward on the house altogether. So we are tremendously blessed by that. And what we envision is the being able to, because 11 to 17 is a big gap in years for kids, really is. So we found that the 16 and 17-year-olds were doing things age appropriate that the 11 and 12-year-olds really shouldn't be doing just yet. And so our thought on this next home is we kind of separate the kids by age, and then they can move up into the bigger house. And then eventually they will be welcomed should they want to stay with us once they turn 18. So the other amazing part of what has just happened is our transitional living. And I'm going to step back just a minute because some folks have heard, rightly so, originally our plan, all girls. Then we recognize, of course, that it happens to boys too. And as we investigated that and started talking to folks, it was very evident and obvious that nature would find its way. So we needed to keep boys and girls separate. And so at this point, this campus is all girls, although we're now adding a full transitional living village. So there's still going to be one transitional home right next to the home. That's kind of be like the see how you do kind of house. But on our property, you can kind of see the girls' country in the center of the picture, more to the right-hand side. And on the other side of the property, there's going to be another entrance, and that will be where we put the other tiny homes. And there'll be a laundry facility, but each of the girls who turn 18 will have their own space. It's a tiny home. It's going to have a kitchenette and a bathroom and a bedroom slash, but that will give them that much more responsibility and independence, but yet they can still be there while they need more counseling or help with school or whatever it is. They'll still have a caseworker. They'll still have, that kind of support with the program that we have. So, and that's just an example of kind of one of the tiny homes. They're just super cute. Can't wait. That whole village that we were working towards putting that together as well, we had submitted a grant for Charity League. And literally the same time last year, we found out we got the Valero and the Charity League. And Charity League just did their thing this past week in February. And so now we get to move forward and put that all on the ground. So tremendous movement and ability to help more kids.
Tina,
and that's what we want to do. Yes.
What fees are accrued by the folks that are going to be with you? Or do they get to stay with you for free? Is there fees? Do you accept Medicaid? How did the girls pay for their stay?
Gotcha. We are credentialed, or we have licenses through DFPS, CPS. We had to engage is no longer another privatized third-party child placement agency. And when they bring the kids, then they will actually bring the per diem, or however the structure is. We are not a Medicaid provider. But we are open to considering I'm not sure how you say it, but like a community referral, someone that would come, that doesn't have that, or, so there's definitely ways. There's quite a bit of information on the website. Should there be a need to place a child, then you can certainly connect with me and I can get you the right information. Happy to visit more about it.
So if we suspect that one of our children or CASA kids are being trafficked or have been trafficked, would we go through the department for a referral?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because first, if and your CASA workers will know, their training goes, any abuse that's known must be reported. And so you follow the protocols that CASA has set forward. You can absolutely make recommendations of where you think they'd like to go. I will tell you what we've experienced is if we happen to be the very first placement for that child, it is a really tough transition because we are truly here to help them be well, get well. And if they're not in that mindset, and like I said, we interview them, we give them the opportunity, we say, this is what we have. But we've also had folks that came for their first one and then they had no idea what they were getting themselves into and don't like horses, or the horses make them sneeze or whatever. And they've left and then they've reached back out because. So we're just very conscientious of that. But yeah, anytime you have a kid that outcries, they need to follow that protocol immediately for reporting. Authorities need to be involved. All of those things. We cannot take someone just off the street, obviously, because of parental involvement. We don't want to be, we're not going to do any of that. No, because we have situations where the grandma calls and she's having this much trouble with her granddaughter. And we go, well, who has parental custodial rights? And she, oh, well, her mother does. Mother won't call. Mother's part of the issue, whatever the situation is. So we have to be very, very conscientious on any type of what would be community placement. Everybody'd have to be on board kind of thing. So, so that is our transitional living. And I'm going to kind of scoop through a little bit minus the lawn care outside. And our kiddos, we get these questions quite a bit. Obviously, that's why we put them right here towards the end. How do we rescue our victims? We're in the restoration process. We let the law enforcement and the others take care of that. Our girls come from all over. We've had from North Texas to East Texas, South Texas, West Texas, and even from other countries. That's not our primary focus. And in that situation, the daughter and the mother were being trafficked. How long do the girls stay? That just depends on what their trajectory is. We want them there as long as they can possibly be to heal to the extent in which they can be healthy from here forward. And we've had girls that stayed 6 weeks and were in the foster to adopt program and off they went. We've had girls that were a year and a half with us before they turned 18 and they're still with us. So it just depends. The girls I mentioned, they're between 11 and 17. And one of the facts I can relay to you is the majority that we get in are 12. 12. You look at the average. So our refuge home, of course, is safely kept undisclosed for the kids and the staff that is there, but it is here in South Texas. What do you do if you think somebody's being trafficked? Obviously, if you're a youngster, you go to your safe adult. If you're an adult, you look at the protocols of the organization you're in. Nonetheless, 911 if you can't. and as well as this, which I want everyone to put in their phone. This is the National Trafficking Hotline. So not only can you report that information, you can get on their website. I probably should put that on there. It's the Polaris website, National Trafficking Hotline. You can find folks like New Life Refuge on their resources panel. You can go to anywhere. It's a global resource. So if you learn of something happening in Indiana or Michigan or South, wherever, California, Florida, you can actually go and see if there's a facility organization that can help there. But definitely the 888-373-7888. What's great about what they've done is they, of course, track their calls, and a wonderful trend, if you can call it that, is people and children who are being trafficked being able to reach out primarily through the text and through their website that has that quick disappear, so that whoever is causing this issue doesn't know that that history has been there. But they have increased in those calling about themselves by like 25% in the last 3 years. So the word is getting out that there's help and there's a place to call. And that's what we really want to make sure that everybody has that. You can text info, be free. You could be on vacation and see a kid, boy or girl, down the way, then a do not disturb on the lots of traffic. Call it in. Talk to the hotel. If they don't have a policy, call it in.
Can you repeat that?
Yes. So if for the human trafficking hotline, that 888-373-7888, if you're anywhere that you see a situation that is not right, the flags are there. It could be a younger girl with an older man, vice versa. Or you could see at a hotel. We had someone report on a cruise that it was happening. If you see that do not disturb sign day in, day out while your whole vacation, and you see a lot of, and I'll call it traffic, Johns going down the hallway all hours, that needs to be reported. That's something you just can't stand by and watch happen. Like, oh, somebody else will get it. Yes, absolutely. So, and I'm going to wrap this up on this note, but what can I do? Really and truly, we want to get this information to all the kids like you guys do. So the first thing I ask is for kids to know what a safe adult is and to identify theirs. Learn more about it and share it. Share it on social media, share it with your family, share it with the kids in your world. You could even volunteer in your community. There's anti-trafficking awareness events all over the place. We have booths all over the place. The more people that we know can hear this, the more people we can keep safe. What I'd love to do is in the schools, have them start their own anti-trafficking club. Because as we know, the schools are a tough place to get in a new curriculum, and usually a superintendent's run, if you say that word, they don't have the time, they don't have the manpower. If we empower our kids to share this as a peer-to-peer level, I think we're going to get more traction in the schools. So, and of course, New Life Refuge. Go ahead.
Do you ever present to homeschool co-ops?
We will, absolutely. Okay. Yes. And you can actually request a speaker or training online. Okay. I will share our website as well. If you would just put it about 30 days out, that's usually how far we're booked about. Tell us the age of the kids, where you want to have it. If it's within an hour of Corpus, we'll get there, no problem. If it's beyond that, we need to have a conversation.
Gotcha.
So, of course, we absolutely are a nonprofit 501c3. We're great stewards with every dollar that we do receive. And so fundraisers are awesome. We had a group of kids do not garage sale, car wash. And they did amazing. They brought in almost $1,000 and they were so happy to do so.
Hey, how was the other event that you had, Tina? The one that we were talking about, remember you kept saying, we have an event coming up, we're having an event. How did it go?
Boots and Bling is our biggest event for the year. And this one was amazing because we sold out.
Oh, good.
Wow. 450 folks sold out. And what's great about the way we do that is January is National Human Trafficking Prevention and Awareness Month. And so after the whole year of us getting out there and talking about it, and then obviously all the things that go on in January, we close out the month, the last Friday, with our Boots and Bling Ball. So we are looking forward to it again. So next year, save the date, January 27, 2023. So if you guys need anything, have any questions, if you want some help with some brochures, we have some on hand. I can certainly connect you with the Blue campaign, and you can get free handouts and posters. But I mean, I literally just ordered a ton, knowing what we had coming. So whenever I'm on site with folks, I always leave them a few posters too, but I can help you with those. Great on the back of bathroom doors, you know, always good to share that information.
Yes.
So
we have a question in the comments. When will you be accepting boys at the home, and where can they get help in the meantime?
Okay, for this campus, we are not going to mix boys and girls.
Okay.
Because nature can find its way. No
Yes.
matter how the boy identifies, he can still.
Right.
Yeah. And so our future, you know, we absolutely appreciate folks in the fight. USIAHT, so it's a U.S. International Human Trafficking. They are based out of Florida. And then they have a couple other partners, but their home for boys, specifically boys who have been trafficked, is in Florida. So if we were to get a boy that needed that kind of care, that would be my first choice to get them connected. In the future, when we have this campus up and going, I'd love the idea of having a boys elsewhere.
Right. I have another question. What does it look like as far as what am I trying to say? Like the connectedness between the parents and the children. How do you facilitate that bonding and that relationship?
Absolutely. First thing is open the conversation. And we have some really great tools from one of our national partners, Shared Hope. And I've got actually like conversation starters with your kids. How do you talk to kids about online interactions? And, you know, how do you talk to kids about sexting? And so happy to share those with you. I can shoot them over to you. You can feel free to share. You know, we are so thankful for those national partners that have the strength and ability to put this kind of information in wonderful packets so that we can share them.
And what about with your girls in New Life Refuge? How do you facilitate that relationship between their parents and themselves while they're on your campus?
Some unfortunately no longer have a relationship with their parents. So we respect the situation on how they come into us. And we encourage them and we give them as many tools as we possibly can. All of our staff is trained in trauma-informed care, trust-based relational intervention, which is wonderful, wonderful stuff, and motivational interviewing. All three of those are tremendous tools that parents and caregivers can use. You know, motivational interviewing, guys, look it up. It's not interviewing for a job. It is facilitating the survivors' own words and own way to come around to the healthy decisions. Instead of asking, why did you do that? Things like, where is this coming from? You know, what, there's ways in which you can ask questions that are open-ended, firstly. So they have to can say something other than yes, no, yeah, maybe, I don't know. And when you get those, you just have to kind of continue to ease in there. Like, all right, well, if you want to talk about it later, we can talk about it later. When I'm actually interacting with the kids, I will tell them straightforward, guys, I don't have any letters after my name. And if there are things that are beyond what you and I probably should talk about, I just want you to know that I'm going to recommend you talk to your caseworker, that kind of thing, your counselor. And of course, I always start out with if there's anything of harm, either other people harming themselves or possibly harming you, I do have to report that. And when you start that conversation, they tend to go, okay, there's my boundary. I know I'm safe.
Awesome. Does
I have a
anyone else?
question.
Yes, please go.
Would this, I want to give you a situation, and if you could tell me, would this child be somebody that would be a good candidate to come to the refuge? A girl sexually abused by her father for many, many years, and then comes into care. Is that like, is there a distinction between sexual abuse and trafficking? Like, would she not qualify because her father didn't try to have her other people? Is that
Certainly. And that is the differentiation, because
Okay.
the trafficking is where someone put them in that situation for financial or other gain.
okay? Gotcha.
I will tell you that because of the abuse she suffered, she is high risk for someone else coming along and doing that
Yes.
exactly to her.
Right. Gotcha.
So the education that is paramount for her. And I will say, it's interesting because, and I don't look at every single placement application because we have a treatment team for that, but I've seen a few. And it's just astounding to me that you read the situation: minor found in hotel room with adult men, and the box for trafficked is not checked.
Wow.
And so, wow is right. So we have accepted those who have been at what considered high risk without that box checked, knowing what happened prior to. So I would say that she's not void of a candidacy. But if there were a need, certainly reach out. We can, they've got to have all of their ducks in a row. We've got to have their cans, any assessments that they have, and of course, all the paperwork that's necessary. And we do interview them. They have to be at that place where, there has to be a little sliver opening for wanting to be healthy. If they are completely shut down, it'd probably be better if we were their second or third placement.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Any other questions? I've got, do you provide workshops for police?
I got half of that, sorry.
Do you provide workshops for police?
We have, absolutely. Absolutely. Happy to, we're actually going to be at the Robstown Fairgrounds for the Hurricane Preparedness Conference, because we know that when tragedy strikes, whether it's physical, man-made or nature-made, when people come in to rebuild, the traffickers bring the girls with them. And we have to educate the community members and those coming in the workforce as well. But yes, we have trained military, we have trained police, we have trained hospital staff, we've trained hotel staff, any group there isn't any one group that doesn't need this.
Absolutely. Hotel staff, I mean, for sure. What is being done to go after the buyers?
Good stuff. You'll see, thank goodness, we've got some legislators here in Texas that are willing to step forward and push some of these bills that finally go after the Johns and the traffickers versus just arresting those who are being exploited. And so that's literally only been in the last 10 years, mostly in the last 5 years. So you set that into works, then we not only have that part, then we have to have those who go before the judge and the DA prosecutes them. So there was another bill that was enacted that said, okay, we're going to do some peer pressure here, guys. We're going to post out on the web which DAs are pursuing and convicting buyers and traffickers, because unfortunately, it doesn't bring big money for them. So they just don't get caught again. And we can't have that.
Especially if they're minors.
Or they take it to another county.
Or they take it in, well, I mean, if they're, okay, what's great, what just happened this last year, it was already a felony to procure a minor for commercial sex, period. September 1 last year, it became in Texas a felony to do that with an adult. So we are making progress for sure. Again, that's laws. Now we have to have DAs and such that are willing and able to put those teeth in there. And so, yeah, I will tell you, we do a fantastic, we participate with one that's called Cease Texas. And Children at Risk brought it to Texas, and it's cyber patrols. So these are men, this is just a volunteer group of just men. They are trained, a false ad is put out on the internet. Police are notified, it's done, they know. And as those who are inquiring start communicating, our very well-trained volunteers will go, did you know that this is not a victimless crime? Did you know that she doesn't want to be there? And I don't have all the questions because, it's literally for guys, because guys can relate to guys and they don't want to mix in the girl's opinion about that. But nonetheless, it is fabulous when those volunteers have a success story, which is, oh my goodness, I didn't know. And I'm not going to do that again. I had no idea, that kind of thing. They're letting them know it's a felony. They're letting them know that, all these things. And so that's literally one of those societal issues that we need to bring to boys on up to the men and say, buying sex in any age is not an acceptable way. It's just not. And she does not want to be there, or he does not want to be there. That's not their choice.
What was the name of the group again, Tina?
Children at Risk is the one that partnered with us to bring Cease Texas. So it's CEASE Texas. You can find that on our Get Involved tab under Just for Men or Men Only. And so there's fellas that want to participate. They can put their name and their email in, and we'll get them connected with John, who handles that training. And we do it here out of our office in Corpus in Flower Bluff once a month.
Is there anything that can be done legislatively to stop victim shaming? Because when you're telling me these things, and I'm thinking of Jeffrey Epstein and the way they're saying that she did this, she did this, she did this. And so I'm wondering if restricted as like a trial.
I wish. Right now they're kind of defamation suits, libel, slander, those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Do we need to pump out into the society and the positive sides of things and the education? Yeah, look at what our media puts out. They only put they absolutely will, because it sells. Y'all have heard that before. Sex sells, and they do it well, and they have no care to who they're hurting. Zero. I know there's been several lawsuits now finally on Twitter that are being heard about exploitive. And this one was a John Doe. We call him a minor, so can't be given his name. But they finally are trying to get some responsibility attached to these platforms for the exploitation. And like in his instance, he didn't know somebody else had put it on there, and he found it. And yet it went everywhere, and Twitter didn't care until the attorneys were involved. So this is societal. I would love to say I could be like, done, everybody behave. But it's going to take every single one of us knowing these things and intervening and stopping the bystander syndrome.
Awesome.
We got to protect these guys.
And any other questions, guys? All right, Miss Tina. Well, thank you so much. This has been so informative. I am definitely going to be reaching out to you for some different training topics because I loved it. And yeah, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I will be putting this in Optima for you. And if you're watching this afterwards, please do remember that we're not sharing this recording with anybody. It's only for internal purposes. And if you have any questions, reach out to me directly and I'll get in touch with Tina so I can make sure that we get you the most appropriate answer. Okay. So with that being said, I'll see you all next time. Thank you. Thanks, Tina.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.